cool. Thanks for that, Steve. Thanks for volunteering yourself. And so part of the process, I'm going to take you through the 7 A's, and we're going to access, amplify, and apply certain resource states, and then we're going to check whether it works or not.
Sure.
So you mentioned that, you wake up and you look at the day and experience this kind of sense of dread.
Yes.
How do you know to call it dread?
I don't know. That's just the name that came to mind when I was thinking of the example. Kind of the constantly hit snooze. Like, do I have to do this?
Yeah.
And then once I realize I'm running late, then it's kind of all right, rush and just get everything done.
Yeah.
So I can get where I'm going. So yeah,
Okay.
it's yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so this is the experience that you refer to as dread. Wake up, you hit the snooze, you have that conversation. Do I have to? And then to the point where you're running late, and then it's like, get up, go.
Yeah.
And so if you think about waking up tomorrow,
Yeah.
yeah, what's
Yeah,
that?
I'm already at that because I need to be up early tomorrow to catch an early train, and it's going to be a late night tonight already. So
Yeah.
I'm already playing that story for myself.
Yes, you're already playing it. I can see that there's a state shift. So, if you were to describe how it feels as you think about tomorrow, you got to wake up early, get the early train. What's the emotional or state experience that you've got now?
That's probably closer to anxiety than
Okay.
dread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you were to describe this feeling to me, how would I experience anxiety in the same way that you experience it?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, yeah, I don't want to call it a tightness in the chest, but kind of butterflies up
Okay.
higher up in the chest,
Yeah.
sort of.
Yeah. So there's some butterflies or some kind of tightness here.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, no, not really.
Okay. And so this is the indicator, so to speak, that as you think about tomorrow and you've got to wake up early, catch the early train, there's just this tightness and the butterflies that are happening, here
Yep.
energetically. Okay,
Yep.
cool.
That's it.
And so we'll just put that down, put that to the side for a moment. And
Yeah.
if you were to experience a different resource state, what would you like to experience instead?
Uh, Either excitement,
Okay,
or at least a form of optimism.
excitement and optimism. Okay. Are those things quite similar for you? What's the difference between those two?
Oh, I think excitement for me is a more of a high energy, um, whereas optimism is just a more relaxed. Uh, Everything's going to be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So which one would serve you, better in this scenario?
I'm trying to think which one to get me to the train station earlier. um, I'll be realistic and rather stick with optimism instead of dread because at least I'll get up without being too much of an excitable morning person because that wouldn't work very
Okay.
well for me.
Okay. Great. So we'll go with optimism. So, um, how would you describe optimism?
Well, by the nice big breath I just took,
Okay.
it's not feeling like I have any weight on my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
It's not feeling um, that intensity, up high up in my chest.
Okay. And so one of the patterns that you're running is a motivation away from, and you're mentioning optimism. It feels like a lack of that, or it's not
Yes.
that.
Yep.
And so if it's not a tenseness and it's not a weight on your shoulders, what is it?
That's a lightness.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Lightness. Great. And so, Steve, has there been a time in your life where you were able to look at something and just be really optimistic about it?
I feel like I should be able to say yes, but I'm not. I'm not. There's nothing coming to mind immediately.
Okay.
Nothing coming to mind immediately.
Okay, that's all right. And so it's part of the process, hey? So if you don't have a memory of that, can you imagine what it's like to be able to have this sense of optimism?
I think so, um, but it's based on what I've seen in someone else.
Okay,
So if I jump straight to the model
so
side of
modeling,
things,
perfect.
yeah.
Great. So, so this person,
Yep.
how do they do optimism? What do you
Uh,
see and experience and hear from them?
always have a smile on their face, regardless of what's coming up. Um, they're always just very upbeat and joyful. Um, yeah, it's everything's going to be okay. Let's let's get it done. Hey, lots of fun stuff.
Yeah, nice. And so as you express that and see this particular person in your mind, always smiling, always upbeat, joyful, knowing that it's going to be okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much optimism do you experience right now?
Uh, yeah, at least an 8, probably a 9.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Notice what that's like. Breathe it in, let it,
I'm feeling it as excitement though.
yeah,
Like what I'm feeling now when I'm thinking of this person, and just the way, um, just the way they carry themselves with everything is, I kind of get that sense of excitement.
mhm,
I mean, maybe this is what optimism feels like to me.
right.
Um, yeah,
And so is this something that you'd like to use as a resource, this
yeah,
optimism, this excitement?
yes,
Yeah, great. And so you mentioned it's at an 8 or a 9. And so what I want you to do is to notice what that feels like, to breathe it in. And as you breathe it in and experience this excitement and this optimism, I want you to bring this to this um, um, imagination of you waking up tomorrow. Notice how this sense of excitement and optimism shifts and transforms your experience of waking up in the morning.
yep.
What's different?
In my head, I sit up first time, um, instead of falling back onto my stomach.
Yeah,
It's very much sit up first time and take a deep breath.
yeah. And so that seems like it's one of the anchors for you. I've noticed a couple times there's just this deep breath that you take.
Mm. Yep.
And so as you think about waking up in the morning, it's going to be that, yep, sit up straight away. And so is this appropriate for you? Is this going to be resourceful and ecological for you to be excited and optimistic when you wake up in the morning?
Yep. I'm actually feeling incredibly emotional right now. I don't
Okay.
know why. But yeah, it's relief. I think it's relief.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And so, part of the process is as you bring this new state of optimism and excitement to your daily waking life, it sounds like the dread has been a way in which you've operated for so long. And so there's going to be some processing that happens. And so just allow that to happen. And I wonder, where else you can use this excitement and optimism in your life.
Sorry. Yeah, I've definitely got a few other spots I'll be able to use it.
Yeah. And will you?
Yes.